Now at 5, mass firings coming soon. That's the warning from the Trump administration if the government does not reopen.
The obstacles Republicans and Democrats in the Senate keep running into as they try and find a path forward.
Many federal employees will be earning IOUs until the shutdown ends. Ahead, I'll tell you what's the deal with who is on that list.
It's the first day of October, but still summer-like in the forecast. How many more 80-degree days as we look ahead?
Well, the Colts are looking to turn the page after dropping their first game of the season on Sunday. How they are preparing for the Raiders heading into Week 5. I'll have much more coming up in 13 Sports. Live from Indy, you're watching 13 News.
All right, thanks for joining us tonight at 5. I'm Felicia Lawrence.
And I'm Dustin Grove in for Anne Marie. Let's start with the latest on this federal government shutdown for the first time in about 7 years. And right now it does not appear Republicans and Democrats in the Senate are even close to finding a way forward.
Now, President Trump and his administration says federal firings are coming in a day or two if they don't figure it out. Monica Alba shares the obstacles they're facing from Washington, D.C.
The reality of a government shutdown rippling across the country today.
Just get your business done and get on with life.
Some of the nation's most iconic parks, monuments, and museums closed, leaving tourists disappointed.
I did not think that they would shut down the government, and yes, very disappointed.
But they did. Now Democrats and Republicans in full-on finger-pointing.
And they have taken the American people hostage in a way that they think benefits them politically.
We are on the brink of a healthcare crisis. And so that's what we're standing up for. And we are standing up for those American workers.
The standing rules of the Senate.
Senators again today failing to pass measures that would reopen the government. The main sticking point, healthcare. Democrats want to negotiate now to restore funds to Medicaid and extend subsidies for Obamacare. Those expire at the end of the year, and analysts say without them, premiums will skyrocket. Republicans say they want to negotiate that later. With both sides digging in, Americans are weighing in.
If they would just look out what's best for everybody and just get down to business.
For now, emergency services will continue to operate. But this shutdown does impact a large swath of the federal government. Late today, NBC News learning the Office of Management and Budget Director told House Republicans the administration will begin reduction in force plans in 1 to 2 days.
We're not targeting federal agencies based on politics. We're targeting the people's government so that as much as possible of the essential services can continue to function.
Many others, like TSA officers at airports, will work, but without pay. One tourist in the nation's capital stressing this.
Trump, please get it open before I go back to Dallas on Saturday.
But that wish is unlikely to be granted. Even if the Senate can come to an agreement on how to reopen the government, the House isn't scheduled to come back until next week. Monica Alba, NBC News, Washington.
And the shutdown also means many federal employees will earn delayed paychecks. In Indiana, there are roughly 25,000 federal civilian employees.
And civilian simply means not the military. Allison Gormley is here to tell us what's the deal with who this shutdown affects.
Employees who are deemed essential are still going to work. Eventually, they'll receive back pay after this all ends, hopefully sooner rather than later. Now, people who are deemed essential include active military, air traffic controllers and TSA workers, and federal law enforcement, including the FBI and CIA. Correctional officers at U.S. prisons will also keep working. Now, furloughed workers will also eventually be paid. Separate from this, USPS workers, they'll get paid immediately because they're on a different budget outside of Congress.
Okay. All right. Lots of impacts here this afternoon. Thank you for staying on top of it, Allison. And in more news, our Emily Longnecker will continue our coverage of this government shutdown and the impacts that it has on Hoosiers.
As she's been working on this all day, she's going to share what Governor Braun is saying about the shutdown. That's tonight at 5:30. Other news now. An Indianapolis mother was back in court today asking for unsupervised contact with her daughter.
Kiera Bickett was charged in August after her 2-year-old son, Javarius, died in June after allegedly shooting himself with her gun. Bickett is allowed supervised contact with her 9-year-old daughter.
But today her attorney was, pushing for Bickett to be allowed unsupervised contact, but the judge denied that request, saying the girl is a witness in the case.
There is some chance that the child would talk about what happened, and I just want there to be a third party because there's a chance, especially because the child's a witness.
Bickett is expected to be back in court for a hearing next month.
Also next month, the Marion County judge will sentence a man for a murder on Thanksgiving Day that happened back in 2023.
A jury found Ephraim Edmondson guilty as charged after a 2-day trial. He was charged with murder, possession of a firearm by a serious violent felon, and residential entry for that shooting. It happened at an apartment complex in the courtyard near 10th Street in Shadeland.
Usman Gusama died in the shooting. After several interviews, investigators said several people told them the two had been involved in an ongoing feud. Police said Edmondson later admitted to the shooting, saying they were arguing and fighting before he shot the victim.
Developing tonight, Johnson County is now without 5 deputy coroners after they resigned. Their resignations come as the county coroner returns to work. Mike Pruitt doesn't face criminal charges, but the mother of a 17-year-old girl has a protective order against him, claiming repeated unwanted contact with the girl. State police are now investigating. Derek Wilson, who was the chief deputy coroner, issued this statement saying, quote, "In light of the recent allegations and subsequent potential criminal investigation underway by the Indiana State Police involving Coroner Michael Pruitt, I have made the difficult yet necessary decision to submit my resignation." Pruitt sent us a statement today saying he understands each individual must take the decision that's best for them and thank them for their service. Ahead at 6, our Rich Nye looks into where staffing stands now within the Johnson County Coroner's Office and what's next.
In about 25 minutes, the Indianapolis Historic Preservation Commission will vote on whether to grant a permit to demolish a near East Side church. The Archdiocese of Indianapolis wants to demolish Holy Cross Catholic Church and sell the land. It closed in 2016, but Indiana Landmarks and the Holy Cross Neighborhood Association believe it can be sold and reused. The meeting is scheduled for 5:30. We'll let you know what happens.
All right, let's take a look at the weather impact on this Wednesday evening at 5:06. A beautiful shot of downtown Indy as people get ready to head home from work if they haven't already. Looks like radar's clear, Angela.
Radar is clear, and to me it felt a little more like fall this morning and looked a little more like fall with a few of those high clouds, but still summer right now with temperatures in the 80s.
Yeah.
But we've got some changes on the way in that 7-day forecast, which we'll get to in a few minutes. Right now over Indianapolis, we do have a few of those high clouds in 83, 86 Terre Haute, 83 Lafayette, and Muncie, and 84 degrees in Bloomington. Evening forecast will keep those numbers in the upper 70s and low 80s through 8 p.m. Much like this morning, if you needed a jacket or a sweatshirt, you'll need it again tomorrow morning, back down into the mid-50s. Sunrise at 7:42 on our Thursday. Morning numbers will stay in the 50s. Afternoon numbers back into the 80s. It's going to be warm again with a mixture of sun and clouds tomorrow afternoon. We're going to stay in the 80s for the next several days, but the longer range temperature forecast, we do take a dip Tuesday into Wednesday of next week. And guess what? We also have a rain chance. A look ahead at that in the 7-day.
Thanks, Angela.
The Colts return to the practice field this afternoon ahead of their Week 5 matchup.
The Raiders come to town this weekend. Eli Gain has a preview and how the Colts are turning the page from their loss to the Rams.
Well, the Colts are hoping one loss doesn't snowball into two after falling to the Rams on Sunday. Indianapolis now returns back home to Lucas Oil Stadium to take on the Las Vegas Raiders on Sunday, a team and a franchise that they've defeated in 3 of their last 4 meetings. As for the mood in the facility, it felt like just another week. There's urgency to fix those mistakes from Sunday, but they're not harping on them because they also have to turn the page to the Raiders, a team that ran for 240 yards last week, led by Ashton Genty, who also had 3 touchdowns, and they have a defensive end in Max Crosby, who's one of the best in the league. So yes, I guess you can say this is a first sign of adversity coming off of a first loss of the year, but the Colts still 3-1 and are making sure to right those wrongs, and they feel confident that they're going to do just that.
We're all determined to get back out there and play well. You know, I don't think there's an idea that we need to, necessarily turn things around. I think it's about getting back to what we do. We're not going to overreact to a loss the same way we wasn't overreacting to the wins. I will say, after the performance that we had this past Sunday, just not playing as clean a game as we want to. I think that's important for us. But this is a new week, new opportunity, new challenge. So we're just going to attack Wednesday the best way we can and hopefully come out on Sunday and play the best ball we can.
It was also announced today that former three-time All-Pro linebacker Shaquille Leonard will be retiring as a Colt, so he will be honored on Sunday. We talked to Zaire Franklin in the locker room. He said he had stories that he could go on forever talking about his former teammate, but he also added that he's extremely happy that he's going to be receiving his flowers come Sunday. Colts and Raiders, looking forward to it in Week 5 of the NFL season. Covering the Colts, I'm Eli Gain for 13 Sports.
Thanks, Eli. We're excited, too. And we have an update tonight on Fever guard Kelsey Mitchell.
She's now out of the hospital and expected to make a full recovery. The team issued a statement earlier today, and it followed the scary moment on the court you see during Game 5 in Las Vegas last night.
Team says she experienced extreme cramping in her lower body during the third quarter. That was scary, especially when they brought the stretcher out because nobody really knew what had happened.
So for her, and then the fact that there's so many other injured players too.
Yeah, glad she's going to be okay. We've also got Pacers news tonight, day 2 of training camp for the boys in blue and gold. This week marks Jarris Walker's first time back on the hardwood since the Eastern Conference Championship.
The Pacers forward was forced to sit out the NBA Finals due to an ankle injury. The time on the sideline has given him a new perspective.
It's tough. I mean, you work all summer, 82 games, 3 series, and then you get there and then it's taken away. But, I mean, it grows you, it matures you. I feel like it made me a better person. I learned a lot through that process. Just every opportunity I'm able to work out, get a lift in, practice, like, it means a lot more to me now than it did before, just knowing that, like, in an instant it could be taken away. So.
Awesome perspective.
Absolutely.
The Pacers tip off preseason play next Tuesday night in Minnesota against the Timberwolves.
And the Blue and Gold's regular season opener is at home against the Thunder on October 23rd. Just over 3 weeks away.
It's so close.
That's the NBA. WNBA players, they want better pay.
And that's why their contract negotiations are at the center of a conversation surrounding their collective bargaining agreement. The time left to reach a deal ahead at 5:30. Also, remembering Jane Goodall.
We're taking a look back at how she changed the way we think about chimpanzees.
And first at 5, the search for Amelia Earhart's plane.
New details being revealed today about the expedition planned for next month.